So yesterday, I mean, I'm not somebody that, says, this coach needs to be fired or get rid of this staff. I'll make an exception today. Multiple people probably need to lose their job that coached the Chicago Bears. They lost to Washington, and they deserve to lose to Washington. That was not luck with a Hail Mary. Okay, maybe it was luck. But what I saw in the second half may have been the worst coaching I have seen by an NFL team over the course of a half in years. I mean, number one, handing the ball to a backup center. You've got good running backs. You've got good tight ends. You've got good wide receivers. Handing the ball to a backup center. That was your best drive of the day to that point. You'd had one big run, but that was the best drive of the day to that point. And that's your play. Off a bye, that's the play. That's your clever play. That is just, that's non-negotiable. You can't do that. You're not Carolina. You've got players. In fact, you've spent money on the offensive side. Multiple tight ends, multiple receivers, a good running back, a capable backup running back, a mobile quarterback. That can't be it off a bye. Secondly, on the Hail Mary, you got one of your defensive players, John with fans, as the ball's in play. He's just John with fans. I mean, there's also the fact that you have a linebacker on that play spying on Jaden Daniels instead of deep, as if Jaden Daniels is going to peel off a 52-yard touchdown run. What are you doing? I mean, this is just coming off a bye, Chicago's first 7 possessions, coming off a bye, 6 punts and a turnover on downs. What is going on? Way to use that extra work to hand the ball off to a backup center and not be prepared on a Hail Mary. I mean, Caleb Williams was bad in the first half, better in the second, but didn't play well. What you saw yesterday is 2 young ascending teams and 2 tremendously good quarterbacks. But tell me you don't feel this way this morning. Jaden Daniels, that's going to work. He's got a support system. Kingsbury, Terry McLaurin, Dan Quinn, new owner. It kind of feels like it's not only going to work, it's working now. Forget the Hail Mary. They outplayed Chicago. Caleb is starting to feel a lot like Andrew Luck, where you're like, you may need to clean house because this kid's going to get hurt. But that is just unforgivable nonsense yesterday. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not somebody who stands up here and says, fire this, fire that, fire. I usually defend. I mean, I defend a Harbaugh for years at Michigan when you wanted him out, or a Brian Kelly at Notre Dame, or a Lincoln Riley, I tend to be a Sark after a bad loss. I tend to be like, it's hard. That stuff off a bye, here's the other thing. Listen, after, they're defending the handoff and defending everything about that.
Obviously, the guys are disappointed. When you lose a game like that, that's a tough one to swallow. And we've practiced that play 100 times since we've been here. And again, I'll have to look at what the execution was of that. But we have a body on a body, boxing guys out. Again, I got to look at it and detail it out and make sure we're better next time.
I mean, honestly, here's my question about the staff. He said, we practiced that thing 100 times. On like the 38th time you practiced it, did not somebody on the offensive staff go, hey, can I speak up? He's a backup center. We got really good running backs. Can we just scrap this? Like, it's not going to work. I mean, here's the thing. Let's say it would have worked for a touchdown. You don't get any extra points if you use a backup center than one of your running backs. And by the way, if I was a star running back for the Bears and I worked so hard being a running back, can't you give me the 1-yard touchdown run for the big win? I mean, doubling down on it. The Hail Mary looked disorganized. I could go on and on about their, fade pattern in the end zone, which is like a 3% call. Nothing about Chicago in the second half is endearing. None of it. I mean,
okay, let's talk about this. So this game was fascinating, and it had a little bit of everything. Really great and really, really awful. I'm not even going to talk about the Hail Mary too much, quite frankly, because I really want to focus on the things that fundamentally matter for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears right now. Because the defense played very great, right? They obviously played really, really well. They kept the Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders out of the end zone. But the truth is, from the start of that game, though, offensively, they were disconnected, right? It was a tough opening drive, disconnected from the jump. But what I did like was that Caleb was composed, right? On the road, hostile environment, a lot going on, right? And the game was not unfolding as I'm sure he hoped. And I said this before, I don't care what these guys say, they want this win. Caleb wants to beat Jaden. Jaden wants to beat Caleb. Like, that much is very true, right? And I don't care what they say. If they say, oh, it's just another game. It's never just another game, right? These guys feed off this. They live for this. And you could hear Romo being like, oh, man, that was a bad throw. Oh, he wishes he could get that throw back. And so this was kind of such a mix between the Bears, because, right, this is saying, are Bears doing enough to support Caleb, right? On one side, there was moments where they were leaving Caleb absolutely on an island for him to be able to try to make something out of nothing consistently, right? And that's a problem, right? 10 carries for 41 rushing. I mean, he was having to scramble all day and constantly try to make something out of nothing. But the problem is when they did set him up for a big play or an easy throw, he just missed. It was a bad throw behind, too high, too low, whatever it is. And again, Romo pointed that out multiple times because he was like, oh man, if he just hit so-and-so, that's probably a touchdown. So that was kind of the problem. It was like this mix between Shane Waldron and that offense not doing enough to support him, to set him up, to get him good, easy throws, especially in the first 3 quarters of that game. You know, for the first 3 quarters, he had 36 yards passing. 36 yards. And we can blame the offensive line and some of these other things. That's part of it, but it's not all of it. That's what I'm trying to argue. This isn't just 100% one thing. Oh, if he had an O-line. Oh, all Shane Waldron. Oh, all Caleb. This is a mix between everything right now. Because like I said, there were some plays that could have busted this game open that Caleb just fundamentally missed. And then there were stretches that Shane Waldron was doing nothing to support Caleb Williams at all. Right? Nothing to help him get settled. Nothing to get him easy 5, 10, whatever it may be. And then that's when that's how you get 3 quarters for 36 yards. But to see how resilient he was, and then to put up like 100 yards in the 4th quarter and stage this comeback was huge. And really, really fortunate that Swift got that big run for the touchdown. But this game was just disconnected. Right, just to start the game alone, there was 3 to 4 bad throws to start the game in just the first 2 drives. Right, like that's a killer right there. I mean, it just is. And then going for it on 4th down in the first half. I mean, because we talk about bad coaching now. Like, I don't see the point of that. That makes no sense. The defense has been playing good, right? Don't give Jaden Daniels great field position. I understand maybe you trust your own defense, but understand the game. Look at this game. It's 18-15. Right? Like, those are the things that really add up. So, to me, what this looked like more than anything is that the Bears, because you can see, because Colin was like, what was that play to the backup center? What was the Hail Mary? What was some of the other calls in the 4th quarter in terms of play calling? What it looked like to me is that this team was not ready to win big games, to win close, intense, coming down to the wire games. Right? They can win other games. They can fight. They can compete. They can contend. But they're not ready to be in it when it really matters. And like I always reference the Kansas City Chiefs, this is what separates the Kansas City Chiefs from all these other teams, is their ability to be ready in that moment. And the Bears clearly were not. Again, right? Seeing someone jaw to the fans. I mean, like that's insane. That really is just insanity, how you're not locked into that. Yeah, handing the ball off to a backup center, like that doesn't make sense either. Like none of that makes sense. Going for it on 4th down does not make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, I just don't get it. Especially when you have Caleb doing great things, right? Like in the last drive, scrambling and then throwing to Allen. I mean, like he was doing some really awesome stuff. He finally got settled. But I just don't understand why you're not building off of those types of plays. Why you're not putting him in a situation to be able to make some of these throws rather than them just being seemingly 100% off script. Right? There was too many moments in that game when it was just like, hey, let Caleb just be Caleb. He'll find a way through this. And it's like, that's not how you support your rookie quarterback. That's not what you do. But I mean, the really because then there was another one, the home run ball to Odunze. It was just a desperate throw in double coverage and overthrown. Like those are the little things where it's like, this game is so close. You don't need to do those things. You don't need to waste a down for that. You don't need to waste a drive for that. So I understand defending coaching, and I don't even want to overreact to this game too much, in the sense of like, oh my God, this was a disaster, because there was bad moments for sure, but there were still a lot of positives. They also made Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders uncomfortable. A lot of penalties. Put a lot of pressure on them. So, but this was a defensive led game, but the offense didn't know how to play complementary football at that point. They weren't able to move the chains. They weren't able to get their own field goals to be able to come away with this win, right? This was a game that they needed to be able to win 21-18, right? Like, they needed, because you could see how the defense was playing all game. And the name of the game was just get into field goal position, kick those field goals. Kick a few field goals and a touchdown, boom, game over. Our defense has this. And they just didn't. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, though, you did lose to a Hail Mary, which is definitely part luck and part skill, right? Make no mistake about it. Jaden Daniels had to buy time in the pocket, or, not necessarily in the pocket, but had to buy time for 13 seconds. It was special. Jaden Daniels is a special quarterback, just like Caleb Williams is a special quarterback, right? So it was just one of those things that this ended up being Jaden Daniels' night, right? This was his iconic moment, right? First matchup against Caleb and the Chicago Bears. There's going to be many, many, many more to come. I imagine Caleb Williams will get his revenge one way or another. So I just don't think that this has to be blown up too badly, because it is still recognizing that these are two rookie quarterbacks. This was just a week 8 game, right? This wasn't an NFC championship game. This wasn't to get into the playoffs. It was a rough ending, no doubt. The Bears took the lead, though, for the first time in the last 25 seconds of the game or something like that, whatever the final time was. So I think more than anything, ultimately, this game ends up being a learning experience, and this game ends up being a culture builder and understanding, right? You can't take plays off. You need to know how to play complementary football. You need to continue to support your rookie quarterback, recognize how great your defense is, and build your offense around such a ferocious, uncomfortable inducing defense. I understand you got Caleb Williams. I understand that. But look how the Chiefs, to reference the Chiefs again, look how the Chiefs keep winning and winning and winning and winning. It's on the back of their defense. It's complementary football with their offense. That is the name of the game right now. You have the defense. You have the defense. Play complementary, composed offense, and you win games. That's what you had right here. But instead, you're trying to do it wasn't like a trick play. I don't really know what it would be considered. Just a bad play, questionable play calling, and then some bad throws by Caleb. And when you're talking about an 18-15 game, that's the margin of error, right? The margin of error is apparently a Hail Mary. So definitely feel for Chicago Bears fans. Really, really, really tough way to lose a game. Of course, arguably the worst way to lose a game. But ultimately, I think it'll be a good learning experience. I think it'll be another moment for Caleb to look in the mirror and be like, I will never let that happen again. 10 for 24, 131 yards. I don't care who my coordinator is. I don't care how bad my O-line is. I will never let that happen again. Never again, never again. So I promise you, Caleb is going to work a million times harder, even more than he had already been from this point on. Because he's like, I do not like this feeling, and I never want to experience this again. Never. So I think ultimately this will end up being a good thing in a weird way. This is what rookie years are all about. This is what rookie years are all about. Feeling amazing, feeling on top of the world, feeling like that's right, I got it, I'm going to take over. And then having the moment when you're like, oh my God, what just happened? What just happened? This is a disaster. Am I even going to last 2 years in this league? It's those extremes, right? It's those extremes that ultimately will make him a better, stronger, more resilient quarterback. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, the defense, the offense, Eberflus, everyone else under the sun? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.